Unique New York. The arsonist had oddly shaped feet. Hello and welcome to FLEETtv. I'm Ashanti, exhibition manager here at the Science Center, and your host for this week's episode, which features some of our brainiest Fleetsters. We had an opportunity to work with some of the neuroscientists at University of California, San Diego on this exhibition, Illusion. It's not what you see, but how you see. In it, we learned that there are very distinct areas in our brains that help us process visual information that we see all around us every single day, and in this case, illusions. So sending you now to two incredible Fleetsters in the field, Andrea Chiba and Virginia Dessa from the Cognitive Science Department at UCSD, who are going to give you the lowdown on neuroscience, artificial intelligence, and answer one of your burning questions about an optical illusion. Take it away, ladies.
Hi, I'm Virginia Dessa.
And I'm Andrea Chiba.
And we're faculty in the Department of Cognitive Science at UC San Diego, as well as faculty in the Neurosciences graduate program, the Institute for Neurocomputation, and the Temporal Dynamics of Learning Center.
And Jenny is an associate director in the Halley-Joulou Data Science Institute.
And we thought we'd tell you a little bit about the science we study. So Andrea, why do you study neuroscience?
Neuroscience is amazing. Behind me is a visualization of our colleague and a former graduate student of our department, Tim Mullen, driving through his own brain activity. Neuroscience helps us understand how and why we do the things we do. Our brains are powerful in predicting the world around us and in determining how we will act. Imagine if everything was a surprise to us every single day. It would be so hard to know what to do. Instead, we learn, we remember, and we predict. This allows us not only to get by, but it also allows us to keep learning. We can become great athletes, artists, writers, mathematicians, or even neuroscientists. I think this is amazing, and that's why I study neuroscience.
Thank you. Neuroscience is also useful for improving artificial intelligence and machine learning in applications such as self-driving cars and fun applications like this one, where it can turn me into a pineapple that moves and talks as I do. You can also change your appearance in other ways. So for example, in this case, I now have butterflies on my hair, green eyes, and added makeup. And of course, this is a difficult application because you can't just put two green eyes on your face to change your eye color to green. The application is actually tracking my eyes, all my facial features, in order to color my eyes green. One way to study the brain is to study visual illusions, and we've been asked to discuss this illusion that was posted on Twitter. So here what you see is two arcs, a dark one underneath a lighter one, and the dark one looks smaller than the one on top of it. But what the person in the video is doing is taking a physical object and placing it first on top of one and then on top of the other to show you that actually both arcs are exactly the same size. So the illusion is that the bottom one looks smaller than the top one, but they're really the same size. And you could play with this at home with items in your own home. So here I've taken two train tracks, and these are just regular train tracks, so they're exactly the same size. But now if I take one and put it on top of the other one, the top one looks smaller than the bottom one. This is called the Jastrow illusion, named after the scientist who discovered it and published it in 1892. And it works because you're comparing the shorter edge of the top object with the longer edge of the bottom object. And the item with the shorter edge next to the other object looks smaller. And of course it's an illusion because if I switch them around, then the other item looks smaller. You can play with this with paper. So what I did is I took a piece of paper, I cut it into two rectangles. Now rectangles, if you put them on top of each other, they both look the same. But now you can take the rectangles and cut them. So you have a short top and a long bottom, like this. And again, I have two identical ones. But now if I pull them apart and put one on top of the other, the item with the longer edge next to the other object now looks bigger. And again, we can switch their order just like this.
It's super interesting. What does it tell us about the brain?
Well, visual illusions are useful and interesting because they show us the assumptions and predictions that the brain is making.
Oh, so our brains can convince us that something's true when it's absolutely false.
Exactly.
Wow. I hope you enjoyed this today, and thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you so much for joining. And if you're interested in the brain and visual illusions, you should definitely check out the exhibits at the Fleet when it reopens. And then we'll send you back to Ashanti. Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrea and Virginia. This is one of my favorite illusions in this entire exhibit, and this is either the bunny or the duck, depending on how you see it. The way I see it, I can see both the bunny and the duck, and that's because there are neurons in my brain that recognize the bunny, and then there's another set of neurons that recognize the duck. So as I look at this image, I can actually see the bunny and those neurons get excited and they overwhelm the other neurons that might see the duck. But when I see the duck, those neurons get excited and they overwhelm the neurons that see the bunny. This is a process called rivalry, and it happens in your brain too. And so what happens is those neurons are just trading off. And so sometimes you see the bunny and sometimes you see the duck. It's a pretty cool process, and you do this every single day. So now I'm going to send you to another one of our brainy Fleetsters, Elena Blanco Suarez, who is a neuroscientist with the Salk Institute right here in San Diego. And she's going to tell you why she studies neuroscience, which is pretty incredible.
Hi, my name is Elena Blanco Suarez and I'm a neuroscientist at the Salk Institute. I've been working there for nearly 6 years now. And originally I'm from Spain. That's where I started studying biology and molecular biology, but it wasn't until 2010 when I moved to the UK to do my PhD when I started being interested in brains. Since then I've been working on trying to understand how brains work, and especially focusing on what we call synaptic plasticity, which is the ability of the brain to adapt to whatever perceives or also during disease. Soon I'll be moving to Philadelphia, where I will start my own lab and I will keep researching that synaptic plasticity, and in particular how a specialized cell type that is called astrocyte are involved in the synaptic plasticity and how we can use that in order to recover from disease or from other conditions such as stroke. So why I got interested in neuroscience? It's because during my master's when I was studying, I remember that my professors always had a lot of trouble answering our questions because in fact we don't really know a lot about the brain. There's still a lot to be researched. And that's why there are so many people around the world interested in trying to understand how brains work, and I'm one of those people. It is very exciting, and that's one of my favorite things about neuroscience, but also about studying science in general, is that every day is kind of unpredictable. Even though that we plan our experiments very well and everything's perfectly lined up, sometimes we get results that we didn't expect, surprising results, shocking results, and we have to figure out why those things happen. We need to find explanations, we need to formulate all these hypotheses, and it's very interesting, it's actually very creative, and that's my favorite part of the job. It's something that pushes you always to go the extra mile, to think about all these alternatives and why things are happening. So it's a job, it's a field that you learn every minute. And that's my favorite part. I think science is amazing, and I hope that I will be doing it for many, many more years from now.
I don't know if you can see it, but those snakes are moving and I can't get them to stop. Thank you, Elena, for sharing why you study neuroscience, and good luck in Philadelphia. Maybe we'll have to get you to send us some videos from there. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Fleet TV. Make sure you share us with your family, share us with your friends, like us on social, and most importantly, we'll see you next week. the Cognitive Science Department at UCSD. Nope, can't say that one. Don't worry, I'll do it again. We had an opportunity to work with some of the neuroscientists from University of California, San Diego. The rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain.